Dragon Ball Kakumei is like that one girl that even though you might mess around with like 10, I don't really know where I was about to go with that, but it is the 25th, guys, and you all know what that means. Rinko, Poison Labo, and Dark Owls have dropped chapter 10 of the legendary fan manga Dragon Ball Kakumei. If this is your first introduction to the series, be sure to check out the playlist for better context, which will be linked on the screen and in the comments below. When we last left off, preparations for the coming multiversal war are in full effect in chapter 9, as we even saw 17 and 18 stepping up to help Pepperoni with his inventions. However, a random mishap would end up with Majin Buu eating the Shinbot that was supposed to transport them and botching the coordinates, dropping him off unexpectedly in the demon realm of all places. Until they can figure out a way to retrieve him or he somehow finds his way back, it seems like Buu may be stuck for the time being as well. But over in Universe 11, Gohan would complete his Pride Trooper initiation. After successfully completing his mission on behalf of Jiren and the others, Gohan would be accepted into the prestigious Pride Trooper Association as he looks for a kind of a different avenue of training. Perhaps the most interesting piece of development throughout all of this, however, would be the current training in the God Realm between Whis and Goten and Trunks. Together, they create one of the mightiest warriors Universe 7 has to offer in the fusion of Gotenks, but separately, their control over their own power could use a bit of work, and this was the purpose of the training Whis would put them through. If they perfectly sync their strength at the right time, these two Saiyans will be able to generate enough force to destroy the punching machine Whis had produced, and after overcoming the obstacles they both faced internally, they were able to pass the test. Elsewhere in the God Realm, however, due to the current circumstances, Beerus would take this time to recognize that now was the time to return home. So he would seek out his father, and this would be where we begin our story today. If you guys are hyped for another amazing episode of Dragon Ball Kakumei, be sure to drop a like, and let's try to get this video to 4,000 likes. I know you guys love this one, and I honestly love it too, just as much as y'all. So also don't forget to follow all of the creators of DBK, whose links will be down below in the description box. But without further ado, I miss that feeling, Beerus says to himself as he takes in the setting around him. This is planet Gezi on the borders of universes 6 and 7. As he descends to the ground, Beerus walks across a small river to see someone else meditating as well across the water. "So you came here too," he says. "Yeah, I've been waiting for you for a month, you idiot," Champa says as he and Beerus sit across the coffin. "I haven't been here in over 1,000 years, father," Beerus says, as we can assume that their father is the one in that coffin. "How would he have acted in our situation?" Champa asks. "This whole thing gives me headaches." Beerus replies that it's sure that he'd do much better than him at least, to which Champa gives a snarky reply. Even in times of peril, the sibling rivalry never fades. Over on planet Crepe, Goten and Trunks are reaching the climax of their current training with Whis, and after a short break, they're back at it again. "Hey Whis, did we make it?" Goten says, looking pretty drowsy still. "Well, you slept well, I guess, it seems," Trunks says. Whis would go on to state that they're now entering the second phase of the training. "You must now unlock your godly potential," he announces. "It's a necessary step to reach stage 3 of your preparation." This would be the official beginning of Goten and Trunks' God Key training, as neither of them expected it to be so quickly, even though that is what they came here for. "Good luck," Whis tells them with a smirk, as now their very life forces will be tested. "I welcome you to the planet Lestia," Whis says as he transports them to a different training location now. "Here are 2 spears of God Key," he goes on, producing 2 orbs of energy. "My only advice, assimilate them." "What? That's all?" Goten replies naively, with Trunks being equally as naive, but this would soon be fixed. "Nope, that's it, just assimilate them. After which this step will be closed," Whis replies. He sends the orbs in their direction as the 2 ready themselves. They charge right in to get ahead of the orbs, but the energy passes directly through their bodies. This seems bearable," Goten says as he and Trunks look at each other pretty confused, feeling no changes yet whatsoever. All of a sudden, both of them collapse in excruciating pain, clenching their chests as they heave up blood and nearly pass out from extreme trauma. "Oh," Whis chuckles. "Perhaps I should have warned you, apart from your father's, of course. no mortal has survived these spheres for millions of years. It's a miracle that you two are still conscious. Somehow both of them are still on their feet though, writhing in agony, but the only thing constant on both of their minds is being stronger than their fathers by any means necessary. It takes everything these two have and more to not implode from the agony, but Saiyan will is near impossible to break, and the drive these two have mirrors that of Goku and Vegeta as they continue to fight. Then they both hit the ground as the orbs then pass through their bodies and appear above them. After seeing their condition, Whis worries that maybe he overestimated them, even though it was only a softly charged energy orb of his that they tried to handle. Goten's only question for Whis, however, would be, does assimilate just mean to keep it inside their bodies? When Whis replies yes, something clicks within Goten, who seems to have an idea now. That goal to surpass their fathers, continuing to ignite a fire within these boys that won't let them give up, even if it kills them. During this time, across the multiverse in Universe 6, the training would intensify even more as we see Vegeta meditating as his strongest warriors train together. The Saiyans face the fields of action and limits of their potential now, and we would go on to see Broly in his Super Saiyan form working hard to control that rage, and with Kale's help, it seems he's making great progress as she tells him that he's almost got it now. Kaba and Caulifla would also make waves in the progression of their own training as we see a Super Saiyan 2 Kaba standing across from quite a powered up Caulifla. Suddenly, they're exposed. King Sadala would appear above them after having already warned Vegeta about these damn transformations as they coldly lock eyes. "Keep going, I'll be back," he says, instantly noticing the king's arrival and taking to the skies immediately. Vegeta would confront the king head on with no fear whatsoever. "I see you've come more and more often to see the Saiyans exercise," Vegeta states. "The next step would be to participate, you know." "You and your friends will leave this planet at dawn," the king says coldly, wanting no conversation after this disobedience. Vegeta is in disbelief, but the king's patience has run out as he six his guards on Vegeta next. Vegeta easily disarms the guards and tosses them both away behind them. He then momentarily begins to lose his cool, possibly forgetting the scope of this whole situation, and takes a swing at King Sadala. He stops his hand, however, and attempts to explain, telling King Sadala to just listen for a second. The king doesn't let him get another word out though, and decks Vegeta with a ferocious punch that honestly took him off guard, surprised at how strong the king is. "You who used to teach my people to defend themselves so well. It's pitiful," the king says crudely. "You are nothing. You and the other traitors to my people." King Sadala then continues attacking Vegeta as Broly and the others look on confused, not really sure what to do in this situation. King Sadala sends Vegeta soaring through a mountain and with impressive speed chases after him for a combo as Vegeta mocks him. "So here's the true face of the pacifist king," he says, knowing that a true Saiyan would communicate with him best by a show of aggression and force at the end of the day. King Sadala would keep pressuring Vegeta, each attack seeming stronger than the last, as Vegeta is honestly taken aback by the king's strength. King Sadala would prepare an attack that almost looks like a Gallic gun considering his pose, and Vegeta would return a blast of his own as well. A massive explosion goes off in the sky as Kaba and the others look on that could possibly harm them, so Kaba creates a barrier to shield everyone on the ground. It seems like both Vegeta and the king took a decent amount of damage from that explosion, but there would be no clear winner as they both still remain on their feet. Vegeta charges back in and goes on the offensive this time, but the king's combat experience seems to be relative to Vegeta's as he easily blocks his kicks. "Why didn't you ever show up at the 2 tournaments against us?" Vegeta asks. "You should have protected your own." Vegeta is finally able to land a kick on the king right to the chin, but even a full power kick from Vegeta seems to not faze the king as he simply just spits the blood out of his mouth. This is when King Sadala and Vegeta enter full-fledged battle as the two clash back and forth ruthlessly. Vegeta would assume he is predicting the king's movements as King Sadala creates a ki blast in his left hand, but then fakes and tries to hit Vegeta with a knee, demonstrating his experience even more. Vegeta attempts to block his knee but is suddenly hit with a right hook as the king's feint takes him off guard. Skill-wise, King Sadala seems to be able to hang with the best of them, but this kind of just pisses Vegeta off, and for a moment, his anger takes over and he returns a critical knee to the king that creases him. This enrages King Sadala, who grabs Vegeta and then angrily tosses him back into the ground. Never such an affront has been made to me by a Saiyan, King Sadala says. You will leave this planet if by force. He launches himself at full speed, blazing towards Vegeta on the ground, but the Saiyan just stands there ready for anything and unfazed by this battle. The fight's becoming interesting, but you always seem to restrict your abilities, Vegeta says. He goes on to meet the king in the skies, and the two collide with a vicious headbutt that sends ripples throughout the lands around them. This panel is probably my favorite in the entire chapter. I definitely got like old school Dragon Ball and DBZ vibes from this, so well done to the team. You guys are amazing at what you do. Two noggins this hard colliding is definitely gonna do some damage, but after taking a few similar headbutts from Goku, King Sadala cannot phase Vegeta like that, so they both recover and get back to it. What Vegeta does next as King Sadala shoots a flurry of ki blasts at him, I'm not even sure how to put into words, as he seems to envision the exact pathways he can take to maneuver every single one of his attacks, and does so with ease after closing his eyes. When he opens them, Vegeta's eyes and aura show a glint of something unbelievable. I can't believe you guys did this. Ultra Instinct Vegeta is displayed as Vegeta's newest technique that he seems to be pretty good at as well. Only momentarily, however, as after Vegeta is within range again, he switches from Ultra Instinct to Super Saiyan to attack the king. The sight of the Super Saiyan, however, throws the king into a raging spiral as his mind nearly collapses from the stress of just seeing this form. Vegeta stops his punch midway as the king seems to be fighting a battle internally at the moment as he looks at him confused. I think it might be time for you to explain yourself, Vegeta says, standing over the king and returning to his base form. What makes you hate this form so much, even though it's only a tenfold increase in our capacities? The king remains silent as on the ground, the Saiyans spectating the battle seem to be confused as to how Vegeta was able to best their king and what this means for them now. The admirals remind everyone to mind their business and return to their training, however. Finally, the king chooses to speak and gives his explanation on why this form is a thing of nightmares for him. This demonic form with golden hair, he goes on, took over my body for the first time the night Gherkin took the life of our previous king. But that evil took away hundreds of lives of innocent people, along with those of my enemies, he continues, recalling that uncontrollable rage. Women, children, even brothers in arms. That outburst caused by my transformation made my hatred into an endless rampage. This child carrying his sister's body within the flames still haunts me. I see, in this facet of my people, only the manifestation of evil. A conditionally accessible form of such hatred cannot be healthy, he goes on. You'll end up driving everyone crazy. Kaba has achieved this transformation through a pure, true protective devotion to you, Vegeta roars back. Would a demon team up with you to protect you? One can't be sure who one's own people really are once one admits that there is nothing more dangerous than a starving man, the king replies. Who do you think you're dealing with? What makes us who we are can't be reduced to a simple form. We're made of our acts, and all too often those of which we're the least proud of, Vegeta admits. The Super Saiyan is a weapon like any other. The key is to use it wisely. What is this heavy burden that I see in your eyes springing from the bottom of your soul, King Sadala asks him. Vegeta confesses that in the past, he massacred entire populations for pure pleasure. This is kinda like his reckoning. What did I just tell you, King Sadala asks. Unfortunate that this form has made you crazy. However, unbeknownst to the king, during that time in Vegeta's life, the Super Saiyan was only a thing of legend whose existence he himself doubted. For me, all is well. It's now up to you to discharge your burden, Vegeta tells him. King Sadala ponders his words and then admits that Kaba did used to tell him about Vegeta, and he remembers that he told him that he was a man who loved his people. So what ultimately made you change and be aware of your actions? Vegeta chuckles and then looks up into the sky as he tells him that he'd love to tell him that it's only because of his wife and children, he goes on. But the truth is that I owe it to the encounter with a warrior greater than myself. A few years ago, I understood where true happiness and where true justice resided. The Earth, his planet that I had then attacked, became my home and I started my family there. Without him, I wouldn't be the same today, as Vegeta attributes much of who he is today to meeting Goku and their rivalry turned friendship, whether he'd call it that or not. And it's precisely with each transformation, each time that he surpassed himself, that I admired him more and more in spite of myself. The Super Saiyan opened my eyes, my friend. At first, King Sadala would be taken aback, but then he would crack a smile, beginning to take a genuine liking to Vegeta now. You fell to your knees and you didn't know how to get up, Vegeta says. But I understand you. I'd probably have acted even less wisely than you did in your place. He reaches out his hand as the likeness of Goku resonates off of him in this moment. King Sadala then goes on to say one last goodbye to his brothers, those whose lives he had been dwelling on daily, as he's ready to turn over a new leaf and no longer shun the strength of the Saiyans. Vegeta was not only able to help the Saiyans of Universe 6 become more powerful, but he also gained the trust of his people and the king, as things seem to be going pretty smoothly for them from here on out. Even back on Earth, the training seems to be going well, as you could almost forget what all of this is for with how beautiful the day is. Elsewhere in the multiverse though, it seems like things are stirring. Something is afoot and a reckoning will soon take place that may shred the very fabric of reality, as we would conclude the chapter in Universe 14 seeing a figure. And in Universe 0, the seal continues to weaken day by day, only months left until the fight for all of existence begins.